folks, we are back at imdeveloper.live. My name is Nick Taylor, your host, and today I'm hanging out with Simon MacDonald. Simon, how you doing today?
Yeah, doing great, Nick. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. It's Friday. It's been a busy week, but feel like ending on a good note. Squash some bugs and stuff, so feeling pretty good. So.
Nice. Yeah, there's nothing better than squashing those bugs so that you don't have to think about them all weekend. There's nothing better
Yeah.
than waking up at 3 a.m. on a Saturday going, I know how to fix that now. And then
Yeah,
you
yeah.
either have to go do it or grab a piece of paper and write it down. So, yeah, I've been there. I've been there.
Awesome, awesome. For folks who might not know who you are, you mind just giving us kind of like the short of who Simon MacDonald is and what you're up to, and then we can take it from there.
Sure thing. Yeah, I'm Simon MacDonald. I'm the head of developer relations at a small startup called Begin. The elevator pitch for Begin is we make dealing with AWS a lot easier. For any of you who have ever logged into the AWS console and that are immediately show like 140 things I have to make a decision on. Well, Begin actually gives you reasonable defaults so that you can get up and running building web applications a lot easier.
Okay.
And as part of that, we came up with this framework called Enhance, which we're going to talk about later. But about me personally, I'm a Canadian. I can prove it. There we go. And I love hockey and all things Canadian. And I'm an inveterate reader. So I probably read on the order of like 120 to 140 books a year. So if you ever need any book recommendations, just hit me up on Twitter or on any other social media. I should be at McDonald's. So if you need to get a hold of me after this, that's the best way to do it.
Yeah, cool, cool, cool. Yeah, yeah. Your tagline is the human Goodreads, and it sounds like you are. So it's that's pretty impressive. I enjoy reading, but I've gotten into this trap of just reading a lot more tech related stuff, and I haven't, which I do enjoy, but like I just got a Kobo. It was my birthday recently, so I kind of treated myself to that, or actually my mom and some folks got that, but I used to love Stephen King as in high school, and like I'm not really a horror fan, but just the way he writes, I just always loved it, regardless of what the story was. So I used Overdrive to pull down a couple books from the library, and so I'm gonna give those a read. And it's on my to do to kind of make a more concerted effort to focus on some fiction stuff, just to kind of unwind a bit. Not that I get stressed out from reading tech stuff, but I just feel like I should be mixing it up, you know. So
Oh, no, totally for sure. I mean, I try to mix the tech and the fiction. A lot of times I'll end up reading a paperback, a audiobook, and something on my Kindle. Just so different genres depending on what I feel like doing.
okay,
But
yeah,
generally, I got to give you a pro tip. Yeah, the Kindle, the Kobo, much better for nighttime reading in bed than an iPad, because I used to have an
yeah,
iPad and do that, and then you'd be holding it in front of your face and you would fall asleep and it would like snap off your nose, and
yeah.
yeah, it would jolt you awake. So I got a lot of reading done that way because I would get that blast of adrenaline and keep on reading more. But it was, yeah, you might see the indent in my nose now from that. So don't
Yeah,
don't recommend it. If you really
we'll
like
we'll just
Stephen,
tell
if you
people you got punched in the nose instead.
well, that happened too. That's why it's crooked. But it's not that's a story for another day. Although because I am a human Goodreads and you mentioned Stephen King, I can't help but mention his nonfiction book. It's called On Writing,
Okay.
and it is a combination of autobiography written by him, or sorry, it's a biography because it's written by himself. It's not an auto. Anyway, I forget how that works. Anyway,
Yeah,
Stephen
yeah.
King, talking about Stephen King's life and how he approaches writing and
Okay.
advice for other writers. It's a fantastic book, nonfiction. So if you haven't dipped into that one, it's really good. And you folks can't see it, but I have a stack of books about 200 high here, and one of them is the new Fairy Tale by Stephen King. So I'm very excited to get into that as well.
Yeah, no, Anthony, a friend of mine in the chat, saying he loves that book. I just dropped a link to it, and I'm definitely gonna check that out for sure. But yeah, no, I don't know what it is about his writing, because like I said, it's not like I'm in, like I don't get phased by horror stuff, but like it wasn't like I went sought out to get horror books. It's just I think one of my friends when I was in high school said, read this book, and I don't know if it was like Dark Things or not thinner, but I didn't read Pet Cemetery, but there was another one. I might have even read Misery before the movie, but I just it's the kind of book where like I start reading it and it's the kind of thing like I'm up till 4 in the morning because it's so engaging, and then like of course the next morning I'm a wreck because I'm
Yeah.
like I didn't sleep. But
I
anyways,
I'm the same as you. I'm not a horror fan. I don't generally read horror books. I don't watch horror movies, but you give me a Stephen King book, and I'm gonna like stay up for 36 hours until it's done. So it's yeah, I
yeah,
get you.
yeah. Yeah, and before we get into things, I'll mention one thing about the iPad falling on your face. Like that has happened to me, but before I had an iPad, I like because I always get like the $0 phones, and I had like whatever. I had an iPhone 6 for like years, and I I was just on my bed, and I had it like right above me, and like just to read, and then the same thing happened, except it was a small phone, and it actually hurt a lot more because anyways, so be safe out there, folks, when reading. So
Reading super dangerous. That's why more people don't do it. I'm pretty sure.
yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. But yeah, no, so that's cool. And yeah, you're saying you're from Canada too, and yeah, I didn't. You were saying before the stream you're in Ottawa. For some reason, I thought you were out west, and like you were saying, your coworker Brian Larue,
Yeah.
he's out west. So yeah, so I'm definitely gonna have to make a trip up to. I do go to Ottawa. I just haven't been there in a while, but if I'm up there next time, I'll definitely hit you up for sure.
Yeah. Please let me know. You a coffee fan at all?
Yeah, yeah, coffee. Yeah, I'm drinking
And
coffee
more
right
adult
now.
libations too. Yeah, we can. Yeah, it depends on
Yeah,
what time we got to get together.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, as somebody who travels around a lot for work, I do try to make it a point of finding the best coffee in whatever city that I land in, and
Okay.
I've got some really good coffee recommendations for people as well. But in
Oh,
Ottawa,
nice.
there's a place called Little Victories. It's on Bank Street, I believe, like close to
Okay, yeah.
Lansdowne Park. Probably the best coffee roaster in Ottawa. They make
Oh,
really good
nice.
lattes and everything too.
Cool, cool. Yeah, no, I've been on Bank Street before, but I most of the time when I was there, my aunt lives like in the Billings Bridge area, so I used to end up kind of in the more, I guess, not necessarily touristic area, but like I went to the Heart and Crown a lot, which is a pub there. I also played rugby for many years, so there's a slight correlation there. But
Yeah, yeah. Heart and
anyways,
Crown in the Market.
yeah,
Yeah, I spent
yeah.
many evenings there as well. So,
Cool, cool. Awesome. So, yeah, so you're mentioning you work at Begin, you're doing DevRel there, and is it the Begin team that brought out Enhance, or is it some people in the open source land too, or is it mainly your team that brought this out?
yeah, so it's mainly our team, and it really is the brainchild of Christopher Joseph, or KJ, or Dan, as he's known on Twitter.
Okay.
But it is comes from the patterns that we had figured out while we were building Begin and applications on top of Begin.
Okay.
It makes life a lot easier for us, and I mean, I if you ever seen a web app these days, it's like, oh, we're going to add 3.5 megabytes of JavaScript into a bundle and send
Yeah.
it down the wire and hope that everything works. But what we try to do with Enhance is to focus on the web standards, HTML first, using the platform. And it really gives you a way of expanding custom elements or web components on the
Okay.
server. So yeah, it's a pretty good pattern, and we had been using it internally
Yeah.
for a while, and we decided like, oh, let's open source this so other people can use it as well.
No, that's cool. It's I assume you've been doing web dev for a while. I'm a little long in the tooth as well. Like I remember NCSA Mosaic, so like
Yeah,
um, uh, but it's kind of not funny, but I feel like people have been talking about progressive web apps forever. It's a good pattern, and it's like uh, you know, we kind of went from just like websites used to be a lot simpler as well in the beginning. You know, it's just like here's my homepage, here's a counter or whatever. But over time things did get more complex because it wasn't just a web page per se. Then it event, there was this kind of birth of a web application, and honestly, I still say website or web app sometimes. Like there's, I I don't know where you make the distinction. I feel like a single page application or like something that's like a Figma, that's really what an application is versus like I'm just submitting a form, which is normal web things. I don't know where you make that distinction or
yeah. It's hard. I mean, I don't try to make the distinction whether it's a single page app or a multi-page app. I mean, they're both web applications. A
Yep.
website to me is more like static content without any personalization. It's just here's just the data. Just go ahead and read it. And I mean, that's kind of what we were doing from like 1995 to 1997 until we were able to add more
Yeah.
interactivity. And you think you're old. You're a graybeard. And I remember like writing CGI bin scripts in C. So it wasn't even a script.
Oh,
We
okay.
actually, yeah, we actually had to like, and there was a CGI bin.h and we would actually have to compile a binary to run the CGI
Okay.
bin scripts. And then we quickly moved to other things like Perl, and that was so much better
Yeah.
because, yeah, you don't want to have compiled binaries being run by randos hitting your website. That was a bad idea. I don't know why we ever did that.
Yeah, yeah. No, I did some C++, not C in university, and then we moved to Java. But yeah, my first introduction to CGI bin was Perl scripts. And I remember I had to call up my internet service provider to have them grant me read-write access to the folder so I
Yeah.
could do things. So, which in this day and age, there's no way you'd be calling up AWS, hey, can you just give me write access to this folder? So,
It's like, hey, could you do a schmod on this folder for me so I can
yeah, yeah,
drop in a binary, which, I promise is not going to take down your entire infrastructure. I mean,
yeah,
I
exactly.
just, yeah, for folks who don't know, you could easily write a bad C or C++ program, which would have an infinite loop in it. And if anybody actually hit that on the web server, it would spike the CPU to 100%. And you denial of service the entire server, which, I'm not
Yeah.
saying we did that in university just for chuckles to drive our IT administrator nuts, but maybe
Yeah,
we did.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Um, yeah. So what I was gonna say about like it seems like there's a shift. Like we went, like you were saying, you were joking, but not really joking about these like 3.5 megabytes of JavaScript. I actually have been through that too. I worked on some fintech stuff, and it was just like bloated to the max, but the people there just didn't seem to care. But yeah, it's a little weird. Like shipping all this stuff that you might actually never even use, it's if anything you're wasting resources as well, so there's like it just seems kind of weird in general. But i I don't know, I kind of feel like progressive web apps have become a cool thing now, which is a good thing. But it's like like do whatever it takes to get it back on track, I guess. I feel like the same things kind of happen with accessibility. Like
Oh
doing
my God.
accessibility work is like a cool, like not everybody thinks it's cool, but I've seen like a big movement. Like it's good. Well, one, it's a good thing to do, obviously, but I just see it picking up steam, and it's for whatever the reasons are. It's just nice to see these things happening. So yeah,
Yeah, there's a bunch of things to unpack there. I want to start with the accessibility one because that's super important. Yeah, for people who don't think accessibility is important, it's really difficult to get them to care about it because it's like
yeah,
I don't know how to tell you to care about other people. But there are many users of your websites who have different accessibility issues, and you are losing money, you're losing users by not taking care of their needs.
yeah,
As well, it's an investment into your future because guess what? As you get older, your eyes get worse, your motor control gets
yeah,
worse, your hearing gets worse. I'm not speaking from experience or anything. Okay, maybe I am. So if you start building websites and teaching people how to build websites or web apps that take accessibility as a first class concern, you're
hmm,
building your future as well. Um, and then finally, if you can't convince people that it's just a good reason to care about other people or yourself,
yeah,
you go to the money issue. Lots of times you can't sell to various companies or governments unless your site is accessible or your app is accessible. Like I forget, it
yeah,
was in the States, I think it was Section 508, which was the law that they had. I think it's been superseded by a new law, but it basically stated you couldn't sell anything to the federal government unless it passed these various accessibility tests. So
yeah.
there's a lot of good reasons to do it, and you should always kind of think of it as like a first class piece of functionality for your application.
Oh
And
yeah, no, for sure.
yeah, and that's one of the reasons why we try to approach everything from an HTML first perspective. Is if you're building with HTML and then you're progressively enhancing things with JavaScript, you've got this working version of your site that is already mostly accessible because HTML is quite accessible to everybody. It's only when you
Yeah.
start layering on frameworks, and then those frameworks have to reinvent the button. So they have to add a whole bunch of accessibility stuff.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you're just kind of layering more and more JavaScript to do things that the web already does quite well already. So, yeah. So you were talking about the giant chunk of JavaScript versus like this
Yeah.
HTML first approach. And that's definitely something we've seen kind of things have gotten so far to like using JavaScript for everything that it's snapping back and it's heading
Hmm.
towards let's see if we can get rid of some of this JavaScript. Let's take an HTML first approach. Let's do progressive enhancement on top of things. That's
Yeah.
definitely something we've seen. And it's not that we're trying to ride that wave. We've actually always been doing that. We try to build
Yeah.
HTML first, enhance it with JavaScript. So that's a pendulum that always is swinging back and forth between the two extremes. It's like less JavaScript, more JavaScript. It's like multi-page
Yeah. Yeah.
application, single page application. Things just go back and forth. And that's great because that's how technology improves. So all of the lessons that we've learned by using JavaScript for everything, now we're able to pull out what we shouldn't be using JavaScript for. And that will inform us, in our HTML first approach. And then we'll do
Yeah.
that for a while. And then we'll figure out, oh, there's some things that JavaScript's better for. And the pendulum will swing back in the other direction. It's not
Yeah.
that one is, any better or worse than the other one because they solve different issues. But
Hmm.
for a lot of the applications that we're building, the HTML first approach works amazing.
Yeah, no, no, for sure. I think also one thing that I noticed was like we were talking about kind of the era growing up in internet, like broadband for me only kind of showed up around mid 90s, like when I was in university. And this like Napster, everybody downloading every MP3 known to man. But aside from that, like before that, like you're on a modem. Like I started off with probably a faster modem than me. I was like 14.4K, and then eventually a 56K modem.
So,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
fancy.
exactly.
So
Blazing,
fancy. Try,
blazing fast.
try being in the far east coast of Canada in Cape Breton Island and being on a 2400 baud modem and trying to get connected to the rest of the world. So yeah, it
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah,
exactly fast. Yeah.
yeah. But I found so and I literally, this is like burned into my brain. I remember being at my parents' cottage on dial-up trying to load Gmail, and it's just like chuck 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 chuck, and then Gmail actually has an HTML mode, and I had to switch to that. But my point here is like websites started getting more complex, and like initially, like I don't think we had the internet speed, and like the computers weren't as fast then too. So like there was this shift in like around 2005 when Ajax popped on the scene. Like for folks who might not know what that is, if you use Fetch now, this is what it originated as. So like asynchronous JavaScript and XML. And I remember this starting, it was about 2005, I think. And so like people were saying like our pages are taking too long, so they were doing this kind of shell approach and then like filling in stuff with the JavaScript for the remainder, or maybe getting the other stuff another way asynchronously. But then like over time, that kind of, at least my perception is, it kind of evolved into what a spa became. They just kept bringing more and more and more.
Yeah.
And then we went full on like spa, like literally just blank indexed HTML, and then literally load everything. And again, like you're saying, the pendulum, it's kind of going back that way again too. And I think part of it too is, I think it's a good thing, but I think it's also some of the technology, like serverless and like Edge, that's kind of giving a renaissance to these HTML boom, I think, too. I don't know what your thoughts are on that. Or
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. I mean, some of the things that we're doing these days with we're using serverless functions to generate HTML pages, and they are blazingly fast. And you wouldn't have been able to do that if you were running your node server in a server closet and, trying to
yeah,
serve like X number of millions of customers. But now that we have this auto scaling feature with serverless, we're able to go back and take away some of the complexity that we've built with the SPAs and go back to an MPA approach and still be able to serve our millions of customers just by using the serverless technology.
yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. And so like this kind of brings it back to Enhance then. So like you're saying, Enhance is an HTML first framework that promotes progressive enhancement. I guess that's kind of like the high level, but maybe like before we start doing some live coding, maybe kind of dig into it a bit more. Like, do they like, for example, something that's it got coined, but like islands architecture. So you're just like loading JavaScript in pockets of places where it makes sense and stuff. Is that something that Enhance does, or is it something different? Like,
It's a little bit like the islands architecture. What we had really noticed is we're building Enhance. One of the main features of Enhance is, again, to allow you to server-side render web components. But basically what it does is it expands your custom element on the server. So
okay,
the element is sent down the wire and it's already usable by the web browser of the customer. They don't have to wait for
okay,
JavaScript to load. They don't have to wait for the web component to add everything into the DOM because it's already there.
yeah,
And what we noticed by doing that, we didn't, there's a lot of things that we were like, oh, we were using JavaScript to build these things. I was like, we don't need JavaScript to build these things anymore. We can just use the HTML elements as they were.
yeah,
But then for things that are more interactive or they require fetching data after for updates, then you can still progressively enhance things with
yeah.
JavaScript, and you kind of get that island architecture where that component cares about this particular piece of data.
Okay. Cool, cool, cool. Okay. No, that makes a lot of sense to me. And this is something I was confused about initially because I've done a bit of work with web components, but not extensive work. And one of the things I found bizarre about them initially when I like just started working with them is like it's part of the platform. So like but there was no server side rendered story because the odd thing was like yeah web components but you have to use JavaScript to register them, so it
Yeah,
seemed kind of contradictory in terms of like progressively enhancing, because if you can't you can still progressively enhance, but like in the case where you can't, like what do you do, it was like
yeah, that is exactly the problem that Enhance is attempting to solve here, is to give you the ability that if you don't have JavaScript, it's okay. You could still build with web components because we're going to render them on the server. But then when
yeah
you do have JavaScript, you enhance them, hence the
yeah
name.
yeah
So it makes perfect sense. But yeah, we also wonder like how did this get through the W3C? Like why did we
yeah
not think that? I don't know the history. I mean, web components have been around since 2012. I think the spec was initially proposed back then. So I'm
yeah
not too sure how we didn't think about the server side rendering side or being able to register a web component without JavaScript.
yeah
But that's what we have for right now. Hopefully, as we move forward, the W3C works on a server side rendering way of things, and then
yeah
Enhance can move to the background, and we can get rid of even less Java. We can get rid of even more JavaScript, but this time on the
yeah
server side.
I like that you said that too, because you're not trying to keep your framework around
No,
necessarily, because like that's not the end game. The end game is you just want the web to be better, is what I'm kind of understanding.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
So, I mean, I will, there's a couple of one project I didn't work on that everybody knows. It's called jQuery.
yeah,
jQuery was awesome. It was a way of being able to smooth over the differences between Internet Explorer, Firefox, and Chrome, all of the different browsers that were out at that point in time, and it made a lot of sense to use it because it was really tough when you had to support multiple different browsers and they all had their little
yeah,
inconsistencies. So jQuery was great. As we moved into like 2007 and later, where we had the mobile operating systems and the two main ones being iOS and Android, they had both used the same code base for their browser. So you could target the mobile
yeah,
web just with one type of code base. You didn't have to worry about adding jQuery in there. So I used to tell people like, yeah, you should take jQuery out of this application. You'll save 270 kilobytes because that's a pretty big file if you don't need to smooth over browser inconsistencies if you're targeting mobile
yeah,
web browsers. And people are like, you hate jQuery. I'm like, no, I don't hate jQuery. It's just that you've got a whole bunch of JavaScript in here that you don't need on a Motorola G3, which doesn't have that much memory or that much processing speed. So you could do without that.
yeah,
And then of course a lot of the things that got added to the platform, like the query selector, that was one of the main things that we used jQuery for, is be able to select classes and IDs and other sorts
Yeah.
of fun stuff like that. So
Yeah.
that's an example of the platform getting better over time and JavaScript framework becoming less and less important. However,
Hmm.
if you look at the usage of jQuery today, it's still super high. And a lot of that has
Yeah.
to do with the fact that it's included in WordPress. So anywhere WordPress
Yeah.
is used, jQuery is used. And that's cool. And that's the wonderful thing about the web, is that it's backwards compatible. So the jQuery code that you wrote 10 years ago still works today. And that's pretty awesome. And
Yeah. No,
then
it's pretty amazing that.
yeah, it's pretty wild, right? And I mean, that's one of the things that we like to do, is like to bet on the platform, to bet on the web, because the code that I write today, I'm not worried about it. It's going to work in 2025. It's going to work in 2030. Tell me another platform you can actually say like, oh yeah, I'm going to use this framework and I'm going to write some code, and then is it going to work in 18 months, let alone
Yeah.
10 years? It's like, we're going to have, X number of breaking changes between now and then. It's yeah. So,
Yeah. No, no,
but,
for sure.
but yeah, and so both Brian and I worked on another project. It was PhoneGap, or Apache Cordova. Some people may have heard of it, and that was a way of you building mobile applications for iOS, Android, and a bunch of other operating systems using HTML, JavaScript, and CSS. And the whole point of it was going to be a shim for mobile applications until such a time that the operating systems, the platforms caught up, and then PhoneGap, we could reduce the amount of JavaScript that was in those frameworks. We could, eventually get away from PhoneGap completely. And that's where kind of PWAs, or progressive web apps, kind of jumped in to fill that kind of void. Unfortunately, Apple still doesn't completely 100% support those things, which is really frustrating. I think I saw a tweet maybe a couple of months back, and Jen Schiffer over at, I think it was Jen?
That
Oh,
glitch, or Jen, the
Jen
grid,
Simmons?
CSS grid. Yeah, Jen Simmons, CSS grid.
No, actually, it was Jen Simmons. I think I'm now getting Simmons or Schiffer. Anyway, the folks from Apple were like, we've implemented the web push API. And I'm like, yeah, 2017 me would be doing cartwheels out the back door,
Yeah.
but 2022 me is like, well, yeah, we've all moved on from there.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
No.
nice that they're eventually getting around to it, but yeah. And I don't want to be the person who's reiterating the beam like Safari is the new Internet Explorer, but it's getting close sometimes.
Yeah, I know they are working on it, but there is stuff like I used to work at dev.to, which is a programmer community, working on the front end there, and we had service workers. It was a PWA, and we ran into just tons of caching issues with service workers, because like there was a lot of server side caching, and maybe we could have fixed it, but like it was honestly like every time we did a release, it was just causing so much headache for us, and so we phased out the service worker. But I also know we had issues in Safari on mobile, because it's not completely implemented, I think, or there's something different about service workers in
Yeah.
iOS, which I can't remember what it is, but it was causing issues for us too. So
Yeah, there's just enough subtle differences in Safari, especially on iOS, that make it not worth your while to do service workers. Personally, I love service workers, but you need to use, was it Service Worker Toolkit or Toolbox?
yeah.
Because they have recipes that work, and do not try to write your own service worker. I mean, it may have gotten better, but writing your own
Yeah.
service worker is a good way to shoot yourself in the foot with a bazooka. Do you want to cache your site forever and never be able to update it? Well, if you
Yeah.
build your service worker wrong, you may end up doing that.
Yeah, and it's so frustrating, because you're like, no, it's because like as a dev, you can go in the dev tools and just say unregister, but
Yeah.
it's not like I'm gonna tell my mom to go into Chrome dev tools or Firefox dev tools and just unregister the service worker, and it's all good. It's not
Yeah.
feasible. So it's
That is not a solution for any yeah, it's almost
yeah.
like it should have been built into the platform that if there was a new service worker deployed, then it should automatically re-register itself. But whatever.
Yeah. I'll finish with this before we move on. But when we phased it out at dev.to, because I was the one that did the PR for it, the way we killed the service worker was by registering a new service worker, which kind of just destroyed itself, which is
Yeah.
kind of weird, but that's how we did it. So it was interesting.
Yeah. So you had to register a new service worker. That service worker grabbed all the other previous caches and then
Yeah,
deleted all the caches. Yeah. Yeah. I know. It's
yeah,
so there is service worker again, folks. If you're using service workers and they work for you, that's great.
yeah,
There are some ways you can really screw yourself up though. So and it seems like both Nick and I have run into those.
yeah. Oh, let's say though, I still love the web though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So, so we got a good primer on what enhances that. So I thought maybe we could just just build up something, like maybe go through like what the tool chain is, like how to just install it, and then maybe we could just make something funny or silly with like a small project if that's cool with you.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Cool, cool. I'll just switch this over to pairing view here. So, yeah, so if you go to, I dropped a link to enhance.dev in the chat there, but one, I love the logo, and
Yeah.
it's just like
Do you know what the logo is? I'm actually curious if you know or if anybody in the chat knows.
I I don't know what that exact thing is, but it looks honestly like a dumpling with like unicorn wings, or like
Okay.
a pega, whatever you call it. But
A
anyways,
pega dumpling? Yeah. Anyway.
yeah, pega dumpling.
Well, okay. So basically, we had this logo designed and we all loved it. It was like, it was kind of chibi, it was cute, and we thought it was awesome and it looks like a cloud. And then every child that saw the logo was like, that's an axolotl. And we're like, what? And
Oh.
there's an amphibian which looks a lot like the
Oh
logo.
yeah, yeah.
And if you've ever been, if you're a Minecraft player, like a lot of kids are,
There we
and
go.
here we go. Yep. So kind of
Okay.
that white face with the pink frills, and we're like, okay, so our logo, our mascot is now named Axel, and for the axolotl.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's nice. And I haven't gone through the docs yet, but it looks like they seem pretty well defined here. It looks like you got a lot of good docs in here.
Yeah, and we're always open to suggestions on how to improve those docs as well. So
Cool, cool.
yeah,
Okay.
and because we like to drink our own champagne, this entire website is an enhanced application. So yeah,
Yeah, that would have been funny if you said, "Yeah, actually, this is built with Create React app." Yeah, no, that's good. That's good to be drinking your own champagne for sure. Okay, cool. I'm just gonna switch us over to VS Code here. So we're literally gonna go from literally nothing. Let's just try and get like a bare bones enhance site up, and then maybe we can do a couple fun things in there, and we'll see how things play out.
yeah, you bet.
Okay, so I guess uh, obvious first question is, how do I get started? I guess.
Well, probably the easiest way, if you're on the main website there's the npm create command, and instead of me having to, yeah, so if you
Yeah.
just copy that npm create, and there's even a copy button on the right
Oh yeah.
hand side of that should make life a little bit easier.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically that's just going to instantiate a new project for you, set you up with our default starter project, which is basically one page, but we can start messing with
Okay.
things from there.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And okay, so I'll give that a minute here while that's okay. That was pretty quick to get set up. So, all right, so I'm gonna go into the enhanced stream and we'll just load that up in VS Code here. Okay.
So before you do anything else, you're going to have to do npm install in the project folder just to make sure we get all the dependencies.
Yeah, it's just my alias and I'm pretty
Need nights
lazy.
you
Yeah.
say knee.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, shout out to Monty Python for if you know, you know.
Yeah.
Um, that movie still cracks me up. I'm sure there's a lot of politically incorrect stuff in a lot of Monty Python stuff now, but
It's
fighting the Black Knight cracks me up still too.
to this day. Yeah. Oh, it's only a flesh wound. And
Yeah, exactly. Feel free to Google it, chat. But yeah, no, I saw a lot of that's growing up. I've seen that movie so many times. It's or Life of
I,
Brian. That's
Classics. As a kid growing up in Nova Scotia and having a summer place where there was no cable TV, but for some reason we were able to get PBS. I don't know if it was just the way the broadcast thing ended up working. I ended up
Okay.
watching a lot of Monty Python and Doctor Who on PBS when I was a kid. So I think my sense of humor has been tainted by the British sense of humor.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I, I didn't see Monty Python growing up as a kid, but like I don't know if you got TV Ontario in Cape Breton, but like I'm in Montreal, so and I think we got cable at some point, but we had TV Ontario and it was a lot of children's programming, but it also included Doctor Who, and so I watched Doctor Who like with I forget his last name, but Tom the
Tom Baker.
I yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I don't know if he was the original Doctor or
No, he was
one
the
of the first
fourth.
ones.
He was
Okay.
number four. But yeah, for people around our age, he's probably your doctor. So I
Yeah,
think what they're
he's
up
my
to
doctor.
13, about to be 14 at this point.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
but yeah, no, I could run down stairs and grab my Tom Baker scarf, which is like 12 feet long, which a friend did it for me, which is amazing.
Oh, that's
Um,
so cool.
but yeah,
All right, cool. Awesome. So yeah, so we're all set up. We got Bootstrap. They ran npm install. So I guess maybe talk us through like what's kind of in the folders here. Like we have an app and public here. So it seems pretty straightforward, I think,
It's
so
pretty
far.
straightforward. The starter app, when you hit up the starter application, there's not a ton in there right now, but there's a couple of things that I do want to point out. Your application code is contained under the app folder, and for right
Okay.
now, the only thing that we have is pages, and we have an index.html. So
Yeah.
looking at the index.html, you'll see there's a very long style section, and then getting to the bottom of that, you'll see the actual HTML.
Okay.
So when you're writing a page with Enhanced, you have two options. You can just write straight HTML and give it
Okay.
the extension .html, and everything will work when you hit the index route in this case. Or you can make it a JS file, and then you'll just
Okay.
have to export the HTML. You run a command that exports the HTML when
Okay.
the route is hit. Um, you might want to do something like that if you need to fetch some additional data, but I'll also show you how we like to separate the fetching of data from the actual page itself as well.
Okay.
The next bit is the public folder, and you can probably guess what the public folder is, but that's just kind of where you drop static assets. And when you
Okay.
go to deploy your enhanced application, this would end up being put in an S3 bucket for you. So all of these assets would be available to you.
Okay.
One thing I definitely want to call out immediately, there is a styles.css file there.
Yeah.
That is we have a utility class component called enhanced styles. And
Okay.
this is kind of Tailwind like, but actually predates Tailwind amazingly enough. But don't ever edit this file. This file is
Okay.
generated automatically. Don't edit this file. So what you're able to do in the root of your project, you're able to add styleguide.json where you can override these different values. So
Oh, okay.
if you want to include additional breakpoints, if you want to include different radiuses, and so all of these things are configurable. I wouldn't bother
Yeah.
putting one in right now,
Okay.
but we do. You would have to copy the one from enhanced styles. There's a link to it in the documentation when we're talking about styling. But for
Okay.
anybody who's watching the stream, do not directly modify styles.css because every time you save something else in the project, it'll regenerate styles.css and
Oh,
your
okay.
changes
Okay.
are gone.
So yeah.
Um,
Okay. Gotcha.
yeah, because basically what you want to do if you have other utility classes, other CSS that you want to add, you're probably going to do that at the component level anyway. Or if you
Yeah.
actually need to pull in another bit of CSS, you can create another CSS file and include that in your head. So anyway, I
Okay.
just wanted to warn people with that right away. Cool.
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
there is one more file in there. It's the .arc file. So underneath the hood, we use another open source project that Began started called Architect, and
Mm-hmm.
it handles being able to deploy all of your Lambdas, S3 buckets, and DynamoDB tables to AWS for you, so you don't have to worry about that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Very simple project in AWS if you're using CloudFormation, where we might have 10 lines of configuration in an ARC file, it'll be 1,400 lines of XML. So it's not
Okay.
really something that you want to maintain by hand. So it's one of the benefits that we have.
Okay.
And as you can see, the important part there, that plugins where it says, hey, we're going to use the styles plugin, and that's what's doing the automatic generation of styles.css for you.
Okay.
You can configure it to use a different input file or a different output file, or you can completely remove it and replace it with our Tailwind plugin if you perhaps prefer to use Tailwind for your CSS instead. Anyway,
Okay.
that's a lot of information.
Yeah.
So I
No,
think
I've actually heard of the Architect project before. I've heard your coworker Brian talk about it. I'm by no means an AWS expert, but all I've heard about it is it just simplifies deploying to AWS.
yeah, I mean, we love infrastructure as code as well. There's there's a book behind me here, but you ever read the Phoenix Project by chance?
I haven't, but I know it's a good read. One of my old coworkers talked about it. It's on my to read fiction. So
Yeah, it's a really good fiction book for anybody who hasn't seen it. I think it's Gene Kin and Jez Humble, if I'm not mistaken. It's
okay,
about this guy who is working at a tech company and things go wrong and his boss gets fired and he all of a sudden has to save the company. And one of the ways that he does that is through continuous integration, continuous deployment, and infrastructure as code. And it's a fictional account, but you can kind of see how it could work for you. And it's so
yeah,
successful that it spawned a sequel book, as well as they also collaborated on the I think it's the DevOps handbook. And then there's
okay,
this really amazing book called Accelerate, which is 5 stars, and it is all of the research, all of the data, their findings on what makes a high performing company, and one of the top things, CI/CD with infrastructure as code. Um,
okay,
and we think infrastructure as code is so important because if you have something where you have a console where you can change like the amount of memory or where things are located, and it's like somebody does a deploy but then somebody else comes in and starts messing around with the console, then
yeah,
you get this drift from what you think you've deployed and what you've actually got in production. So then you can't
okay,
really reproduce your current production state. And that's really dangerous. So having all of this stuff controlled and checked into source code control, where you can see the differences from deploy to deploy, or being
hmm
able to revert back to a previously good known state, is super important. And it'll make your life a lot easier. Trust me.
okay,
Anyway,
okay,
that was a
cool,
total
cool.
aside there.
No, no, it's all good. It's all good. Like I said, I have no sponsors at the moment, so feel free to explain away. Okay, so that's cool. And also looking at the styles CSS here, it's obviously got some CSS resets in there to just make some sensible decisions. CSS resets are pretty popular. There's a few out there. But
Yeah.
okay, so that's cool. And like you said, you're working with more utility class based, which I can see here, like PT6, margin, auto, I'm guessing, stuff like that.
Yeah. So you have
Yeah.
your padding top. You basically, like that padding top 6 would be a huge padding top. We basically start at 0 and go up to 6, or we go down to -6 for those kind of things.
Okay.
It doesn't take long to kind of pick up this style of things, but of course, if you want to do your own CSS, you're not forced into using this. But
hmm
for anybody who is CSS challenged and raise their hands, that would be me. I love having this because I don't have to worry about it. It
hmm
makes my life a lot easier.
Yeah. No, for sure. The other thing I know is interesting is you have the notion of scope here, which is something I saw initially, I think, in Svelte and Vue maybe. At the component level. So here it's obviously global, but I imagine you could, like, if you wanted it specifically for this page or air quotes component, would it be local, or what's the other term you would use here?
Component is the
Okay.
is where you can specify it. But yeah, when the CSS is all loaded, and actually probably a good idea right now is to run npm start,
Yep. Okay.
and then we can load up our local. So what's happening right now is there's a local development environment being kicked off, and you can see that it's if you go to localhost 3333, we have our starter page.
Yeah.
If you do an inspect on this, you should see that the styles are hoisted into the head.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so there's a okay, it's like inline style, but yeah, okay, it's
Yeah.
hoisted up. Okay.
So as it creates these pages for you, anything in the page and then into the components that we will build, it'll grab all of those style tags and then hoist them up, put them into a single style tag in the head, and then it'll scope
Okay.
them properly so that it's, you know, this is per page or this is per component, so that the styles don't conflict with each other.
Okay. I did have a question about that. Do you not do link rel style sheet because the just depending on the size of the CSS, is that why it's in line right now, or is this just for dev environment or?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, we want to generate this dynamically. So if we did a link
Okay.
rel style sheet, then we would have to basically create everything, save it in a file somewhere, and
Okay,
that
yeah,
is
that
an
whole
extra
song and
that's an
dance.
extra sound, yeah, song and dance, and it's another round trip to have to go through.
Yeah.
And we already have gone through all of your thing from the page all the way down to each leaf component, so we know all the style tags that we need to extract. So before we
Okay.
send that page back to the browser, we just inline it for you. I mean, you don't
Okay.
want to, yeah, you don't want to get into the issue where it's like, okay, well, now I know all the styles, so let me create a CSS file, and I have to like do the, oh, let me get a URL from S3, and it's like, now maybe verify that I can actually write here, and then that would be
Okay.
crazy. So inlining it is much more performant from that point of view, and yeah, we just don't have to worry about writing to S3 all the time.
Okay. And like you said, you pull out just the CSS that's required, right? When you generate the inline? Is that right?
Yeah. So the so we pull whatever CSS you put into your page or component gets pulled out and put
Yeah.
into the head. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
We
Cool.
we
Cool.
generally don't do so if you were to look at styles .css, so that does not change. That is
Yeah.
static, whatever gets built. We don't do any kind of static analysis of your pages and try to get rid of the unused CSS. And the reason that we're
Okay.
not doing that currently, and we're discussing whether or not we should. But when you're building this stuff on the server side, you may have dynamic ways of specifying your different CSS. So it's
Mm-hmm.
very, you might accidentally strip out something that you're going to use because you're passing in variables to your components in order to say which
Okay. Yeah.
CSS you're going to use.
Yeah.
So
Gotcha. Gotcha.
it's something that we are in discussion about, but the CSS itself is not huge, and since it's using
Yeah.
utility classes, it loads quite fast, and so we haven't run into a performance issue with it yet. But we're willing to take users' feedback and let us know what you'd prefer to see.
Yeah. Yeah. No. No. For sure. Yeah. No. I was just curious. It's definitely not knocking it. Um, yeah.
No, no,
It's some.
I'm always looking for like other people's opinions. Like we want to challenge our assumptions here because it'd be
Yeah.
nice if we were perfect and got everything right, but probably not.
Well, it does add complexity to things because you gotta parse the whole thing and then pull it out like you said, and then like if you're maybe in a dev context too, maybe you would still inline it to just keep things simple. I don't know. It's like and the other thing too is like you're not using a bundler right now. I'm assuming like because this is like I'm not sure how the app's bundled actually or how it's deployed. Like is it just really serve all the components and then server side handles all the rendering, or is there like a I know it's not using something like Webpack or Vite. I'm assuming it's really just SSR at this point.
It's mostly SSR at this point. If there
Okay.
is a node package that you need to make available to the client side, so you build your web component, it needs to make, you need to access some other JavaScript, and you can end up adding that as a named bundle, which will get added to your head component so that it'll load that JavaScript for you.
Okay. and
So
and I guess
if you
it's
were, yeah, if you were going to like enhance.dev, like the
yeah.
top right hand corner where it's just the search for Algolia. So that's third party JavaScript that we bundle in
Okay.
into so that you can just, yeah, we can use Algolia without having to worry about it.
Yeah, no, that's cool. And also uh, uh JavaScript imports work now in all the modern browsers too. So like if you want to pull in some ESM, you can do that these days, you know. So there's that too. But yeah, no, okay, that's cool. I like how, again, like I know it's because there's a lot of layers being removed here. We're not doing a bundle step. We're not transpiling stuff. So
Yeah.
it's just nice. It kind of feels like when I first made a web page with like Notepad and it just opened it, or like I FTP'd it up and it's there. Like that's it, you know? So
Yeah, that's kind of what we're trying to get back to as well. Obviously, we won't get to the static ways of just being able to edit your pages and put it back up there, but
yeah.
it should remove a lot of the complexity. Like, yes, we don't have to do a lot of bundling. We don't have to do a lot of transpiling. There's not a compile step. It's just like you hit your route, we'll run through and send you down some HTML by just server side rendering things.
Okay, cool. And we'll get around to messing around with maybe popping in some kind of fun web component here that we can just progressively enhance. But I'm curious about deployment targets. Like I know it deploys with Begin, I'm sure, because that's where you work.
Yeah.
I think I saw somewhere it works on Dino deploy. Is that right? Or
So Begin has the current version of Begin. You can deploy Dino. So basically, you're deploying Dino to
okay,
AWS. It doesn't specifically support Dino deploy, the
oh
other
okay,
company, but you are able to deploy Dino lambdas via Begin.
okay,
With Enhance currently, you can go right down to the open source project architect and use architect to deploy directly to AWS. We're
okay,
currently in closed beta to be able to deploy your Enhance application to Begin itself. We're just making
okay,
sure that everything is working great before we open it up to a ton more users. And we've done some work around 11D and Fastify to be able to deploy Enhance applications there as well. Generally, with
okay.
some of the other deployment targets, we end up writing a plugin that massages things so it works in those environments.
Okay, yeah. No, I'm just curious because I work at Netlify, so and that's my curiosity there. And Zach Leatherman, who created 11D, I work with him, and so that's kind of neat that you have it working with. You have what's the connection there with 11D? You said.
You can basically set up an 11D. We have an Enhance 11D plugin, which allows you to
Okay.
use Enhance in an 11D application.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. No, that's neat. Okay, awesome. Okay, so one, I still love the logo, and I just love this initial page because it's just fun and it's just really well done.
Well,
Um,
I know that KJ will be very happy to hear that because he worked hard on making it whimsical, and we love it too.
yeah, cool. Okay, so if we come back to we just have our index.html here. So say we wanted to just make some silly, I don't know, web component for now. So like, I don't know, I could put anything like a paragraph or something and maybe have it change color if we activate the web component or something. So where would we start first here? We're in the index.html.
Yeah. So if you open up main there, if you make any kind of changes to this, the dev server is going to run and it's going to update automatically. So you
Okay.
can change, the bit that it's talking about, the pages, or just add in some H1 that will pop up on the screen so that people can see that it's working.
Yeah. Cool. So, which is a nice thing. Cool. Awesome.
Yeah. So it's there. It's just, yeah, it's really faint. So
Yeah,
it's
that's
all
that's
good.
poor accessibility on my part. That's me failing right
Eh,
there right away.
It's okay. I think it's because the particular style reset at that point in time is mapping everything to use white text because of
Okay.
what's in there. So I think
Yeah.
probably the best thing to do at this point in time is let's just create a brand new page instead of messing around with this giant index.html. We
Yeah.
could probably do like an about.html.
Okay. All right. Now it's an HTML page, but I obviously don't have to bootstrap it with like HTML body, all that stuff. Like it's just really the guts of what our component would look like, right?
Yeah, exactly. You don't need to add all of the other tags around it. So, I mean, you could just put in like a main tag, for instance. And I would suggest in the main, let's give it a couple of classes so that it's
Okay.
not like up in the top left hand corner of the screen. So
Yeah, yeah.
use like margin M4 and text 3.
Is it T3
So
or text
yeah,
3?
text 3.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Cool.
then so that should be fine. And then inside main, let's just go ahead and just type anything so that we can make sure
Yeah.
this shows up properly.
I'm gonna literally type anything.
Sounds good to me.
Cool, cool.
All right. So now if you go back over to your
Oh,
browser and
whoops.
just, oh,
I
yeah, you
put it
got to
in the
put it in
wrong folder.
pages. Yeah, that's
That's my
cool.
bad.
Yeah, that's all good.
Okay, so if I come back to the browser, you're saying?
Yeah. And just go to /about. It should load your page for you.
Okay,
And
perfect.
there's anything.
Okay.
So yeah. So using Enhance, it's all file-based writing. So anything in the pages folder will be accessible at the root, and then you can create as many folders as you want to in order to be able to do nested things. So that's all
Okay.
good. Um, yeah, so at this point in time, it'd probably be good to add a web component because the pages themselves are web components, but it would be pretty handy to have one.
Yeah.
So under app, there currently isn't a folder called elements, but that's where we put in our web components. So if you create one called
Okay.
elements,
Yeah.
and so if we go in there, basically, what you want to do is, sorry, are you in the elements? Oh yeah, just call.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah.
All right, let's call it. Let's just do a my footer because there's this really neat trick I will show you, which kind of helps in debugging right now. But when you name any web component, you need to have a dash in it. So I would
Oh
make
yeah,
it
that's right.
my dash footer.
Yeah.
So the web component specification, you need to have at least a dash in there. Most of the time, it's 2 or 3 words separated by dashes. But oddly enough, my dash is a
Yeah.
valid web component name, which is really weird to me.
Ah, okay, okay.
Yeah, I don't know why people do that. So anyway, the reason we call it my footer is when we use it in our HTML page, we'll be able to specify. We'll just use the file name is the tag name, so it makes life a lot easier.
Okay. So
Um,
I'll put a footer in there, I guess, or
yeah, put a footer in there, and so I would do. Yeah, you can do that, but what we're going to do before we write some of this HTML, we
mm-hmm.
need to wrap it as a function. So if you
Okay.
do an export default function my footer, yeah, and then inside there, um, yeah, after. Yeah, for some reason this is really small, so I don't. After my
Oh, okay.
footer, we need to pass in a couple of parameters, or at least 2
Yeah.
here. So all right, so open an object,
Yeah.
and then type HTML, and then comma and state.
Yeah.
So
All right.
HTML is the function that we call that tells Enhance to go through and do all of the element expansion, and
Okay.
state is any of the data that gets passed into the component itself, and we'll get more into that.
Yeah.
So the easiest thing to do right now is to return and then HTML and then the text. Perfect. And then let's put our footer class in there.
Yeah.
And inside that paragraph tag, instead of just putting my footer,
Yeah.
let's do
Some
dollar
state, I
sign.
guess.
Sorry.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
template strings here, right? Okay.
Right. Exactly. Perfect. So do JSON stringify.
Yeah. And I think I forgot to. I named it HTML. It's a .js file,
Oh
right?
yeah. So it'll be a .mjs file in this case.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Just to
Yeah.
for
And
module.
there,
Okay.
syntax
That's a
highlighting all
little
of a
better.
sudden. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
And
just put
formatting.
yes, that too. State comma null comma 2.
Okay. Just to get some pretty print going.
Yeah, it'll this is one of the first things I end up doing, just that way I can actually see what state was passed to the page or to the component. So I'll put that footer in there. So
Yeah.
now we've kind of written our first web component. So if we go back over to our about page,
Yeah.
and yeah, put the footer in there. So my dash footer.
Okay. And can I do self-closing, or do I have to respect like HTML? Okay.
So web components cannot be self-closing. You specifically
Okay.
have to have an opening and closing tag for web components. Yeah,
Okay.
I can't even tell you how many times that tripped me up too. So I definitely written things like, "Why isn't it calling my web component?" And it's like, "Oh, because you
Yeah.
tried to be, cheeky and just do a self-closing thing." So now we
Yeah.
have the
And I don't think
footer.
it doesn't give an error either. I don't think when you do that too in the markup, does it? Or
No, because any kind of tag that comes into the browser that it doesn't understand, it just doesn't display it. It just doesn't know
Mhm.
what to do with it. So it goes like, I don't know what to do with this self-closing tag. That's not a valid web component. So I'm just like, forget it. Not even going to bother with it.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, if you flip back over to your about page now, so you can
Okay.
see that there is no attributes on the tag, and there is no data passed down to the page.
Okay.
So flip back over to your my footer component, so you can put. Go to where you're calling it inside.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, inside about.html, and then just give it any attribute you want.
Okay. If I use data attributes, does that get picked up in a special way, or just use
Yeah,
any attribute?
you can use any attribute you want, but yeah,
Okay. All right. Let's say data YOLO. YOLO. I like saying YOLO a lot. So
sounds
okay.
good. So yeah, and then back over to your page, and you can see that the attribute was passed in, which
Okay.
the data YOLO and YOLO. So in your actual web component, you can now pull the attributes. And if we flip back over to my footer, um, just before we do the return,
Yeah.
let's do const open bracket attrs attrs
Yeah.
is equal
Okay.
to the state. Perfect. And now you have access to the attributes. So you could actually use that data attribute somewhere in your footer at this point in time.
Okay. So that's just for fun. We'll put it here. And I've seen the templates. I always forget what the function is in template strings, because it's the reverse. I forget what it's called, but like I've seen this used a lot. Even Jason Miller, who created Preact, he had one for JSX. It was called
Mm-hmm.
HTM, I think.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
I like it. And there's actually really good IntelliSense. If I forget what extension I have installed, but there's one that picks it up even though it's in the template string, so it's kind of nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So okay, so now because it's data dash YOLO, should I just do it like
Yeah. You're
this
gonna
way,
have
I
to use
guess?
the
Or
bracket notation.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Okay. Yeah, I just wasn't sure because I know there's data set on the client side. So okay. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So then you control what shows up there either by doing attributes, or you can, if you flip back over to your footer component, um, if you put anything else in, or actually, uh, yeah, we'll worry about slots later.
Okay.
So yeah, that's just like one way of getting input into your web component there.
Okay.
Another way is through the API routes, and let's create an API route for our about page. So
Okay.
under the app folder, if you create another folder called API, this is shocking how we name these things. It's almost like it makes sense.
Yeah, well, what's gonna
Um,
go in there?
if you create a file called about.mjs, what's going to happen is anytime the browser hits the about route, the router
Yeah.
on enhance it first looks to see if there's an API route that matches the route that was requested. If it does, it runs that route, and then it
Okay.
passes that data to the page that also matches that route. So it's
Okay.
kind of like a waterfall here, where it's like, okay, we get our data, and then it gets passed to our page, and then the page gets displayed by the browser.
Okay.
So when it comes to an API, it's a slightly different way of like method signature. So
Mm-hmm.
we basically support the HTTP verbs. Most of the time, we recommend that people use get and post because those are the ones
Okay.
that are available in the browser without having to do anything else special. Like if you're using a form in your browser, you can basically use get or post. If you want to
Yeah.
use like patch and put and delete and stuff like that, then you need to use like the fetch API. And since we're trying to build HTML first, we kind of start with trying to use get and post for most things. Anyway,
Okay.
that's a whole reminder on how that stuff works. But let's just do export async function get,
Yeah.
and then in there. So into get or post, we pass our request object, and that's where you can get all sorts of data that comes into the request. You know, could be path parameters, query string parameters, could be the body of something that is posted, all of that sorts of fun stuff. But in this case, let's just return some data to the about page.
Okay.
And so, yeah, you would do a return and just open up an object. And we're going to return some JSON data. So let's just say JSON. That's just a shorthand way of setting the content type and everything else that needs to happen. You could return a body, which would be straight HTML. You could return XML if you wanted to, which you don't really do that much anymore. But if you're building an RSS feed, you might want to. So that's fun. Anyway, so we have the JSON side of things. Let's just create an object and put some data in there. I mean, probably say YOLO again, or maybe YOLO 2.
Yeah. Naming's hard, eh? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the two
how about
hardest.
Yo-Yo?
Yeah. The two hardest problems in computer science is cache invalidation, naming things, and off by one errors. So.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so we've got so this is basically a get request that'll happen. So I guess do we need to put a form into the about for this to happen, or?
No, so the router is going to call that automatically. So anything that gets returned out of your API will end up in the store when it gets to your page. So if we go back into our about web component under the elements folder.
Yeah.
So yeah, probably the best thing to do here is just revert that change to the attributes.
Okay.
And just go back to where it was JSON stringifying stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, if we run that, if we hit that about page again.
Okay. Yeah. So so the store is essentially server side rendered data that comes to the.
Yeah. So when you hit your API route, you may be loading data out of a database, and what we generally end up using is DynamoDB. It's fantastic. It's super fast. It's got like single-digit millisecond latency. So if you need to pull a whole bunch of data out of your database, it's a really good usage point. Or you may have to hit some sort of third-party API. So you're writing a fetch command inside of your API route to go and talk to a third-party service and pull down data at that point in time. And then all you need to do, sorry, that came out of nowhere. All you really need to do at that point is to return that JSON out of the API. It will get added to the store automatically. It'll be available to your page and all of the web components that are on the page as well.
Okay, no, that's cool. And I'll just hammer in this point, like you're using the platform, not to sound cheesy, but this is just regular, get and post requests. It's not some fancy data. I mean, yes, the backend might have a database or whatever, but what I mean is like the actual requests. It's nothing convoluted. It's really what the web does, which is nice.
We're leveraging what the web gives us. For folks who spent the past 5-10 years learning React, Vue, Angular, whatever your favorite framework is, while you were doing that, the platform got really good, like crazy good underneath us. And there's a lot of things that, I would have reached for a framework before 5 years ago that I don't need to do anymore. One of the biggest thing is like, if you're out there right now and if you're building a date component, stop, just don't do it. Just type input type equals date. and it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's so good, and it is accessible, and it works in all of the browsers. And you do not need to, build this huge component and have to worry about area and all sorts of other accessibility issues. You could just use what the platform gives you.
Yeah, no, for sure. And not just that, but like even like I know some folks struggle with CSS, but there's been so many advances in CSS. There's a lot of stuff that you can do in there nowadays that you used to like you absolutely had to do it with JavaScript for these certain things. So just want to call that out too.
Totally. And I am one of the most CSS challenged people in the world. I don't know why that language doesn't stick in my head. I've learned many, many programming languages over my life. But for some reason, CSS never seems to stick with me. But yeah, a lot of the things that we use JavaScript in order to do animations, like that stuff is built into CSS now. You do not need to use JS for it. And if you use CSS, you're going to, not block your main thread quite as much as you used to with JavaScript animations.
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. Okay, so this is cool. So we've got our about page. So it has a get. I don't think we need to do a post, but basically it would be similar, but you would probably have a form in the about page, which would have method post, and then you would get the payload and query params too if there was other things too. But yeah, again, just getting back to it, I like how this is. I don't want to say simple because
No,
but it's
not
not.
an insult. It's not an insult.
Yeah,
Simple is good. Yeah,
yeah,
fine with that.
yeah. Yeah, and I also like how you're saying return JSON or body or like you said XML in some cases. How it just sets up the return type easily. You don't have to worry about the headers. That's kind of a nice little thing, I think.
Yeah, there's some convenience functions around that. That's a little bit of syntactical sugar for you. But if you decide that you need to return some other format that we don't have one for, then you would just
Yeah,
specify the headers. You specify the content that you're sending back, so that you're not limited to just JSON, XML, HTML. You can basically return whatever you want.
okay.
I but for the most case, turning JSON and HTML is the way to go.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure, for sure. And no, this is cool. I like how it's. I think one of the things I like about this is like I already know web technology, so I'm not really learning a framework right now. It's I mean, aside from like this is how you write a get and post, maybe like the rest seems pretty straightforward. Like like I feel like if we got off this call, I could keep working on this, and I wouldn't struggle that much. I don't think. I mean, aside from normal whatever regular struggles I have, but like
Yeah.
it because it literally is just markup, CSS, JavaScript with a bit of syntax on how you do the gets and the posts and stuff. But yeah, no, this is really nice and lightweight, and it's working fast, obviously. But yeah, no, this is really cool. Um, so it deploys right now like in a serverless context, but I imagine this all like because you were mentioning it works. You're currently deploying it to lambdas with Dino, so I imagine this works on the edge as well. Like there's not really much difference. It's just another deploy target, or
I should clarify. It was Begin V1, which has the ability to
okay,
deploy to Dino. I don't actually think we've tried to deploy an enhanced application to Dino at this point in
okay,
time. We've
okay.
definitely talked to a number of people, and you would be amazed at where people want to have a Java version of this. And we're like, oh, I didn't know I was going
Java,
back to,
okay,
yeah, I know, really weird. I was like, I didn't know I was going
yeah,
back to being a Java programmer. But, when it comes to Lambdas, there's Java, there's Python, there's Ruby, there's JavaScript, there's Dino. Like, folks have been asking for enhanced to get ported from Node to another language as well, so they can use it,
okay.
and it's really going to be based upon popularity and potentially like other members of the open source community wanting to contribute to
Yeah.
it, whether we branch out to another language in the near future.
Yeah, no. I didn't do that much Java. I did a bit in university, but most of my probably the first two-thirds of my career was in ASP and ASP.NET. So similar to Java, but or like JSP pages and stuff. But C Sharp's a pretty nice language, though.
Yeah, I did way too much Java in my life, and including writing speech recognition applications using Java. So
Okay.
Yeah. And looking back on it, I don't know why we thought that was a good idea. Java was a pretty big resource hog in the early 2000s, but we did it. So
Yeah, no, Anthony in the chat saying he was saying like he's being sarcastic a bit, but he said learning the framework is his favorite part. So not that there's that much to learn here, but yeah, but regardless, he said now he has to build something with this. So Anthony's always testing out all the frameworks and the newest stuff. So he's probably gonna put something up, and he blogs a lot too. So I wouldn't be surprised if he writes a blog post about it. So.
awesome. Well, I mean, Anthony, like just hit me up, MacDonald pretty much everywhere, or jump on our Discord for Enhance. More than happy to answer your questions. But the crazy thing is, we really even haven't completely scratched the surface of this thing. We haven't even got into composing components of other components. So,
Yeah.
I mean, we can use slots in order to do something like that.
Yeah. If
Let's
you want to
do.
do that, I don't know how much time you have. I know we've got about 15 minutes left, but I think we can do like if we go over a bit, it's okay. Don't worry
Yeah,
about it.
I'm okay to hang around for a bit longer. So let's do like a really quick slot example, so you can see what composing components are, and then we can do the progressive enhancement bit, which we haven't even like touched at. Like everything we've done so
Yeah.
far, no JavaScript on the client.
Yeah.
Which is nice. And you were talking about the form section. If folks go to enhance.dev, there is an example when you go down to the bottom under deployment on the left-hand side. For
Okay.
begin. And we have a CLI that we're building, which allows you to do a lot of this, adding a new component, adding a new page a lot easier. But down near the bottom there, you'll see a command where it's begin generate scaffold.
Okay.
And so if you run this command, and basically we're creating like a cat thing here, but it will set up all of the pages, all of the components, the database access for you to be able to have a CRUDL type application to add, delete, update cats, and that'll give you a lot of example code that you can bounce off of. We won't get into that today. That's a little bit too much, but yeah, if you want to see an example of how to post data and get all the stuff working, that's a good one. But yeah, going back over to I'd go to our elements folder, and I would create something. Let's just call it like my layout. Yeah, so my-layout.mjs.
Yeah. Cool.
And then you're going to need the same method signature, which is no, we're not even getting into HTML yet.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so export the default function my-layout, and then you're going to pass in. In this case, we'll just need HTML.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. All right. So let's return the HTML, and in here, let's just wrap everything in a div, just because.
Yeah.
And what we want to do is we want to be able to pass things into our layout. So let's call it a slot. So open a tag, and then you have to close it exactly like that. Enter, and then let's put my footer in there.
Yeah.
And close my footer. All right, so now magically we have a layout component. And so you can imagine how you might want to build something where it's, the header, the footer, the sidebar, the kind of call out section. And you'd be able to do different CSS queries in order to display various parts of it. So awesome. That looks good. So if we jump over to about.html.
Yeah.
And we just wrap everything in my layout.
Okay. Oops, if I knew how to spell.
Yeah, I can't spell either. I mean, and then get rid of my footer from inside of main, because we don't need that anymore. It's already part of my layout.
Oh yeah, right. Cool.
And so if we refresh the browser, then. So you can see how the footer component is outside of the main, so it doesn't have the same styling applied to it.
Okay, yeah.
That's just kind of by design so that people can see how it works differently. But now that anything that is inside of my layout will get put into, it will get inserted into where the slot is. So you can compose your components. You can make a larger component out of a whole bunch of smaller components. So you can imagine if you were creating a card, you might have a card component, which has an image component in it, which has a title component in it, which has like a description component in it. And so each one of those things could be like, encapsulated from everywhere else, but you could still pass those things in there. The other nice thing about slots is you can name them. So if I created basically, so if you go, if you go and you take that slot and you give it a name.
Just name attribute.
Regular? Just give it a name and then call it YOLO. Why not?
Yeah, okay. We're sticking with YOLO, sure.
Yeah, we'll stick with YOLO. Why not? All right. So if you save that, what'll happen is if you go back to the page, it's gone. What happened? Because it's you passed in all those things and they weren't named. So the web component goes like, I don't know what to do with these things. I was expecting a name slot. I'm just gonna throw them away. So if we go back into our about page and we name main, so if we say slot equals, sorry, in this case, it's actually slot equals YOLO.
Okay, right. Oh, right. That's the attribute you mean. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, not a lot slot. Okay. YOLO. Okay.
And so, now it should be back.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And so,
nice.
Yeah, it's fun. So what you're able to do is if you have, you have a header and a footer, you can name those slots so that whatever is passed into the layout component, you specifically know which is the header, which is the footer, and then everything else in there, you could just use as the default unnamed slot as your content. And it allows you to specify where different things that are passed into your component actually should go.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, no, this is really nice.
Slots are fun.
There's like, I know Vue does this, and I'm not sure if Svelte does it, but in React or like Preact, you can't do this, but you can like mimic it by like just giving a prop and then like pass in the component, but it's not the same thing exactly. It's not native per se, but yeah, no, this is nice.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure. So slots and templates are folks who haven't looked at web components before, there's three main specifications that are part of web components. Slots and templates are one of them. Custom elements are the other, and the third one is the shadow DOM. And we've kind of skated by shadow DOM most of today. And what we usually like to tell people is friends don't let friends use the shadow DOM. Whenever possible, try to avoid it. It causes some issues. They are making improvements around the Shadow DOM. It's going to be better. But for now, you can avoid a lot of headaches by staying in the light DOM when you're working with web components. Part of the problem with most web component tutorials is they immediately jump to the Shadow DOM for everything. You don't need the Shadow DOM for everything. So that's where I think some people have got the impression that web components are really hard and they don't work right. So there are the three specs, and you don't have to use all of them. You can use a part of them just to be writing a web component. All right, so we've been at this for a while. Let's write one more web component today, and we'll show basically, how. Sorry. Basically, we can show how to do some interactivity with things. So let's just make it my message or something like that.
Yeah, cool. Okay, and then I'll just do the export default, my message. And are we just using HTML in here?
We're going to use HTML and state in this particular part because we're going to pull something off the attribute list. All right, so yes, perfect. And then for the next one, do const message. You got to do the object.
Oh, because
we're just structuring. Yeah. So I would give message a default of the empty string.
Okay.
And then just get that off the attributes. And let's return our HTML.
Yeah.
HTML tag template. And then let's just put an H1 in there.
Okay. Oh, I just forgot. I did it again. I forgot to put function. All right. Okay. I was wondering why my prettier wasn't working before. Because that. Okay. Sorry, you
Yeah.
said put in what?
Yeah, let's just put an H1 tag in there.
Okay.
And let's do $sign message. Yeah, exactly what your GitHub Copilot.
Yeah, I've got Copilot on.
Yeah, no,
Every
that's
time
cool.
I stream, I'm like, it's good a lot of times, but sometimes when you're trying to learn something, it's like, no, try this, and I'm like, no, and then
yeah, sometimes it gets in the way, but yeah, great tool. All right, so we've written a very bare bones web component that will be expanded on the server. So let's go ahead and put that into our about.html page.
Yeah.
Yeah, just say probably above the anything or something like that.
Yeah. Okay, so my message and whoops, dash message. Type it under pressure, and I need to pass in the message attribute.
Yes.
Is that right? Yeah. Okay.
That's correct.
Well, okay, we'll do hello world sharp.
Sounds good. Yeah, we'll go with whatever Copilot suggests. I mean, that's how I write all of my code now. It's just like keep tabbing until the program's done. So we got our hello world in there. So what if we want that to re-render when the attribute gets changed? And that's where we end up writing some JavaScript that is going to be run on the client side of things. So if we go back over to my message.
Yep.
And so underneath the H1, but before the string literal is closed, we're going to open a script tag. And the type is going to be module.
Okay. Web standards again.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, cool.
All right. And now if you've like done any kind of other web component tutorials, you're going to get into one of the least favorite parts about web components is they're written as classes. Was classes a mistake to be added to JavaScript? Maybe, but we have to live with it. So let's create a class called myMessage.
Okay.
Excuse me.
And does it extends?
It extends the HTML element exactly as it's suggesting to you. Yep. And so we need to create a constructor. So and of course, the first thing that you do in every constructor is call super. And then let's do this dot heading is equal to this dot query selector, and we'll search for our H1. Yeah, exactly. All right, so we have our
on fire today.
Yeah, it's fancy. I love it. It's worth every penny. Okay, so after the constructor, we're going to have to observe some attributes. In this case, well, we only need to observe one. So if we do a static, so static space get, and then observed attributes, just like Copilot's suggesting, and let's return message. It's on point.
It must like enhance. I don't know what's going on. It's the first time I'm doing enhance.
Getting scared. Yeah, it's pretty wild. So basically, what we're doing here is anytime the message attribute changes on the web component, we're going to, it's a signal to re-render it basically. So the next method that we need to implement is the attribute change callback, which look at that. It's name old value. Okay, we need a new. Yeah, this is getting really scary. Ooh, okay. So if it starts telling us exactly what to do next, so you basically would do a check to see if the old value is not equal to the new value, because you don't want to re-render if the value hasn't changed.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And then if the name of the attribute is message.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And
that looks right.
Again?
So go down to the next line and then say if name is equal to message.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, exactly what it's. Yeah. All right, cool. So we want. Yeah. Just hit tab. Thanks.
Why are we even streaming?
Why are we even doing this? So join us next week for the GitHub Copilot show, where we just hit tab until all the code's written. So basically,
Right.
what is happening here? We're observing the message attribute. Anytime it's
Yeah.
changed, the attribute change callback is hit. We want to make sure that the new value is not the same as the old value. Because if
Yeah.
it is exactly the same, we don't want to waste a re-render. And then of course we only want to check if it's one of our observed attributes. In this case, it's message. And when it is,
Yeah.
we update that text content. So
Oh,
things are almost done. There's
yeah.
one more important line that we have to add before we're done our script. So this is actually outside of the class.
Yeah.
So just after the class, but before the script tag closes.
Yeah. Okay.
And this is one of the things that we talked about way earlier, and that's that you
Oh
need
yeah.
JavaScript in order for web components to work. So you saw all of our previous web components worked without JavaScript, but when we get into
Yeah.
the client side interactivity, when we kind of want to add that extra behavior, this is where we need this, and it's exactly what it
Okay.
says. We're going to take that custom element and define my message is our class my message.
Okay.
So what will happen here is when we hit that web page, our script tag will be hoisted, so that basically it's going to run. We'll get the HTML down, we'll get our message, but then the script tag is going to be you can see it's hoisted into the head,
Yeah.
so that it will run immediately as soon as the browser is loaded, and then
Okay.
everything it will get progressively enhanced. So if the JavaScript didn't load, we would still see my message, but we wouldn't be able to update it on the fly.
Okay. Gotcha.
So yeah,
Gotcha.
so nothing's really changed here. But if we go into the web inspector and
Yeah.
we change the message that's being passed in,
Yeah. YOLO world.
yeah,
Cool.
there you go. So the
Yeah. Oh,
JavaScript
it's
that
nice.
was loaded after the page had already been loaded now takes over. And so
Cool.
it gives you the kind of this is what we want to do, is give people the best of both worlds. Is like, if JavaScript fails to load for whatever reason, and a lot of people go like, JavaScript never fails to load. It fails to load somewhere between 1% and 2% of the time. And you're
Yeah.
like, no, some people are going like, wait, that's way too high. And some people are going, that's way too low. But there could be a network error. There could be an old
Yeah.
browser. You could be at the airport, and we know how the airport always messes with everything you're trying to do. You could have AdBlock Plus, and as a Canadian, if I try to check something out from my card at Canadian Tire and AdBlock Plus is
Yeah.
running, it goes, no, you can't do that. So I actually have a
Yeah.
separate profile, so I can just order my leaf bags from Canadian Tire. So anyway,
Yeah.
there's lots of reason why JS doesn't work, but this is how we just progressively enhance our web components to add more and more functionality. And obviously you can do a
Yeah.
lot more fancy things than just updating a
Oh, oh yeah.
message.
Yeah, no, for sure. This is like a trivial example, but it just kind of drives the point home that you can have that great SSR experience, the server side rendered, and I mean, a lot of people do have JavaScript enabled. I know there's some devices and assistive technologies that don't, so that's another great reason to kind of
Yeah.
have this pattern, you know. And yeah, no, this is cool. And yeah, shout out to Copilot, our second guest today, because
Yeah.
wow,
Way to go,
that's like
Copilot. I mean, like, yeah,
on
it's like
fire. Just
I'm making a note over here. Maybe just start paying for Copilot.
yeah,
I let the trial run out, but yeah, Copilot was on fire.
yeah. No,
Copilot, take the wheel. Yeah.
yeah, so this is really cool. So yeah, I'll kind of summarize kind of what we looked at here and maybe fill in some holes if I missed anything here. But so yeah, so we're working on like an enhances an HTML first framework with the excuse me, server side rendering story, obviously. Nowadays we've got a lot of serverless and edge that can allow you to serve these kinds of things. But we can still have that enhanced experience through progressive enhancement, and web components are something that can do that. But the story is kind of been traditionally with web components, it's kind of ironic. They only work if you have JavaScript enabled. So, like it's already implied you'll have a progressive enhancement story if you have JavaScript. But for folks that aren't, it's like there's just no way to load the component unless you have something server side like you've done here. So and then add some extra bells and whistles to it, I guess. And enhance isn't just doing that. It's like a full-fledged framework in the sense that you can still do like there's stuff in place for form handling or just API calls, so you can do, like you were saying, you try to stick to get and post because of the browser, but if you want, you can go with fetch for like having everything rest. And there's slots too, which is nice, which is a nice feature. Is that kind of, I know it's a super quick summary, but
Yeah, I think you did a great job of summarizing everything up there. Yeah, the browser supports get and post when it comes to form, but you can move into anything else that you want to do for your HTTP verbs. I would direct people to blog.begin.com. I did a recent post, which I think it was like server-side rendering, web components, and progressive enhancement. Oh my, I think I called it. And it does
okay.
pretty much a counter component where you can go, the counter can go up and down, and it'll work if JavaScript is completely turned off. Yeah, there it is, the yellow brick road one.
Okay.
So JavaScript doesn't have to be enabled, so it'll actually use the server side thing by doing a form post in order to move the counter up and down. But if you do have JavaScript enabled, it will use just the JavaScript in the client side, skip the network requests. I think it's a pretty good example to see how you could build things HTML first and then layer on a little bit of JavaScript, not a lot, so that you can add those more advanced interactive features.
Yeah, no, it's really cool, and I really appreciate taking the time to walk me through all this. It's been super super cool checking this all out, and I'm definitely gonna take another peek at it because I do work on the frameworks team, so this is definitely something that's right up my alley. So yeah, no, again, just appreciate you taking the time. I'm gonna drop a few links for yourself there. I have your website and Twitter. Also gonna drop the Enhance website again, and also Begin where Simon works. So check all those things out. Yeah, no, it's been awesome. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything else you want to say, but if not, I think it's a good place to wrap it up.
No, I think that's great. And yeah, thank you so much for having me online. It was a blast to be able to chat with you about Enhance. And like I said, folks, if you have any other questions, just hit me up on the internet. So I'm always there.
Cool, cool. All right, well, take care, folks, and I'll see you next week. It's escaping my mind at the moment who's on, actually. Actually, it's bothering me. I'm going to have to check.
See, I just blew your mind with all this stuff. So it's like,
Yeah, it's like,
who could follow? Who could follow?
yeah, impossible to follow. And of course, I can't see my schedule right now, but 2 seconds, folks, just because I like to give a shout out for whoever's coming on next week. Let's see here. Okay, yeah. Oh, we're talking with another framework. Yeah, this is Ultra. It's another framework, JavaScript framework. Dino, ESM, web standards. Web standards seems to be the common theme here. So yeah,
Web standards are the new old hotness.
Yeah, exactly. So don't forget to check out that new old hotness, and we'll see you all next week, folks. Bye.